everyone, and happy fall equinox. I hope that everybody is transitioning into the new season well and ready for some rain. I know I am. And so I just want to go over what we're wrapping up from Module 3, Week 4. So again, this module is 2 weeks, Week 4 and Week 5 of the semester, and we'll be wrapping it up this week with the midterm, or the first midterm for this course. So wrapping up from Week 4, we should be completing discussion 4, which covered the guest lecture with Katrina Nystrom that we had last week. You should be completing the pre-lab and lab for learning about projections using ArcGIS Part 1 and Part 2. So you should just be working through learning about projections using ArcGIS, which is the first tutorial at the end of Chapter 3, Geodesy and Transformation in the course text. Both of those are due by September 22nd by 11:59 p.m. And then we have the Module 3 quiz, which opened last Thursday, September 17th at 6 p.m. and will be open until Tuesday, September 22nd at 11:59 p.m. Please make sure to take the quizzes. You cannot make them up. They cannot be taken late. So once that deadline hits, it's a hard deadline. And again, these quizzes are open book and open note, and you have 2 attempts to take it. And so one suggestion that I have is that if you can take it a little bit early on in the week and take note of the questions and have a little bit more time for review and getting all the readings done, then you might be a little bit more prepared for the second quiz, or second attempt at the quiz. Okay, so that also closes again September 22nd, 11:59 p.m. All right, so what we have coming up for the second half of Module 3, Week 5. So if you have not already, well, you need to be finished up reading Chapter 3, Geodesy and Transformation in the course text. We will also be going over some library resources. And so on the Module 3 homepage, which we'll just go over here in just a second. Okay, so if you scroll down to Week 5, you'll see that I have updated the reading section. And so again, we're just finishing up Chapter 3 in the text, and then we'll be going over the CR Library Training Resource page and the Citation Help page, and then there's these 3 short videos to watch. Make sure that you take notes. This information will be included in the midterm. And so these links will just take you to the College of the Redwoods Library video tutorial page. And so I want you to become familiar with these pages because they're really great resources. And you can find a lot of information here, especially if you just learn how to ask for help in the proper way. It'll get you quicker results. There's also the Citation Help page. And so it goes over, you can see over here, oh, I see that my screen is actually not covering it. But there is different APA style and MLA style descriptions on how to properly cite your sources, and you'll see also in these videos, it'll go over if you're looking for academic articles within the library database, you could save them and specify which citation format you'd like, and it'll create the citation for you. So there's a lot of tools at your disposal, and we'll be getting into that later in the semester when we start including reports with our map projects. Okay. There's also going to be lecture videos for this week. So we'll be going over the lecture Flattening the Earth, and we'll be talking about projections and spatial reference systems. And so this will be that first video, and there will be another video as well. You'll need to participate in discussion 5, Maps and Social Equality. Again, it's better to participate as early as possible in the week to allow enough time for you to respond to other students and for other students to respond to you. And that'll be due September 29th by 11:59 p.m. next Tuesday. There won't be a lab this week to allow everyone enough time to study for the midterm. There will be an open lab where I'll do a quick review of the material that you should be focusing on. But I just kind of wanted to go over the midterm and the exam structure in general for this online course. And so the midterm, like the quizzes, it is going to be open book and open note, and you will have 2 attempts to take it. And so it'll open up with the same time frame, just like a quiz. So it'll open up on Thursday the 24th at 6 p.m. and it'll go through Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. And so it'll cover everything in the semester up until week 5. So everything that's included this week as far as lecture and readings, it'll also be included on the midterm. So be prepared for that. And for the most part, I'm really trying to make this as straightforward for you guys as possible. But, typically you'll see a lot of the same questions on the quizzes on the midterm. There will be some new material, but most of all of it you should have seen before if you've been participating. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get into the lecture. We'll be talking about map projections in spatial reference systems. The Earth is an ellipsoid. To view spatial data on paper and computer screens, we need to project the data onto a 2-dimensional surface. This is called projecting. So basically, when a light source shines rays from a projection center onto a map surface, you're taking a spherical shape and trying to flatten it out. Rays intersect both the ellipsoid and the map surface, and the rays specify where each point on the ellipsoidal surface is to be placed on the map surface. A map projection is the geometric transformation of the round Earth onto a flat plane using mathematical equations. You can't perform this transformation without a high degree of distortion. Map projections change the shape and appearance of geospatial data, so every map maker ought to have at least a basic understanding of them. So datums tell us the latitudes and longitudes of a set of points on an ellipsoid. Map projections begin with a reference ellipsoid. Every latitude and longitude coordinate on Earth is first plotted, point by point, onto a reference ellipsoid. The result is known as generating globe. A developable surface is any surface that either already exists as a 2-dimensional flat plane or a surface that can be cut and laid flat to become a 2-dimensional plane without distorting the original surface beyond altering its continuity. For example, you can cut a straight line along the side of a cone. While this breaks the continuity of the surface, you can lay it flat. You can also cut a cylinder and lay it flat in the same way. There are a number of projection families and a large number of projection methods available based on these families. Each projection method has trade-offs in how they distort the data as it is projected. All projection methods contain some distortion, but they vary in how much distortion they create between area, form, and distance. Area refers to the size of the continents or region of interest on the map as compared to the equivalent size on the globe. Cartographers use equal area map projections when the map's purpose relates to the spatial extent or quantitative attributes such as population density. Shape or form refers to how the continents or region of interest conform to related shapes on the globe. Cartographers often call map projections that preserve the shape of continents conformal projections. Conformal projections preserve shape and angle locally, often at the expense of size. Distance represents the accuracy of the map scale. cartographers call maps that preserve distance equidistant projections. So basically, it's that concept of peeling an orange. So an orange peel is covering the fruit inside. If you draw a map on the surface of that orange, like we see here in this image, and then peel the orange, every single way that you peel it and try to lay it flat, you're going to have some kind of distortion from the original shape and image that it produces. Okay, so the map projection case refers to how the developable surface intersects or touches the generating globe. Each developable surface has two possible cases, tangent and secant. The place where the developable surface touches or intersects the generating globe is called a line of tangency. If the surface touches a generating globe along a single line of tangency, it is considered to have a tangent case. A secant case occurs when a developable surface that cuts through the generating globe creates two lines of tangency. So when we're looking at a type of projection, we're talking about conical, cylindrical, and planar. And then when we're looking at the aspect of a projection, we have normal, transverse, and oblique. And we'll go over what those mean in the next few slides. So first we have aspect, the orientation of the projection surface. So aspect refers to the orientation of the developable surface related to the generating globe. Each developable surface has three possible aspects, normal, transverse, and oblique. A normal aspect, sometimes called a polar aspect, is centered on the Earth's imaginary axis that intersects the poles of the generating globe. In a cylindrical projection, this means the cylinder wraps around the equator. A transverse aspect, sometimes called an equatorial aspect, is centered on an imaginary axis that intersects the equator of the generating globe. In a cylindrical projection, this means the cylinder wraps around a pair of meridians. A transverse aspect is used most commonly with long north-south extents, such as for a map of Chile. An oblique aspect refers to a developable surface oriented in any other direction other than normal or transverse. As I was just saying, any projected data is based on a specific projection. This projection contains a projection method that is part of a projection family or a projection type. The three main types of projection families are cylindrical, conical, and azimuthal. Cylindrical projections are used for areas near the equator and for the entire Earth, but with very large distortions. Conical projections are good for mid-latitudes, while azimuthal or planar are good for the poles. A projection method is a mathematical formula that converts spherical data or three-dimensional data into rectangular or two-dimensional data. This formula can then have settings that change the position of the projection on the globe. So again, the cylindrical projections can be tangent or secant. Normally touches at the equator, such as the Mercator projection, and the transverse Mercator projection touches at the meridian. So let's look at these a little bit more closely. Notice in the Mercator projection method that it's a cylindrical projection. It touches at the equator and has a setting for the central meridian. Because it touches at the equator, the distortion near the equator is small, but the distortion increases rapidly as you move away from the equator. On the transverse Mercator, a projection method is used with the Universal Transverse Mercator or UTM projection system. It has the cylinder rotated 90 degrees so it touches the poles and along two meridians. The line of tangency is along the two lines of longitude, which are specified as parameters. This is why it is used for UTM, as it can represent a narrow band from pole to pole with little distortion.